Welcome, So-La-Rah here. I hope you guys are doing well. I want to publicly thank each and every one of you for getting me to 8K. I haven't been on here since that occurred a week ago. Thank you, thank you, thank you for so much. Thank you so much, rather, for all your love and your support and helping me to shine my light and to increase my own value to the collective. By way of your being here. Thank you for the healing work that you're doing individually. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here at this time. I am here today to share downloads, and I've got a lot of them. And I've been kind of procrastinating coming to do this video because there's just so much information here. And I didn't know how to formulate it, but I'm just going to go for it because I'm not going to wait anymore to share this with the collective. So these downloads have streamed, you know, in terms of like taking the notes like 10 days ago, but they're an accumulation of a lot of the energies that Spirit has been showing me over time on this ascension path. So grab yourself a beverage and, you know, let's chill together. So my guides were really bringing me into what this Cancer energy means, the energy of the season that we're in. We are presently in the second decan of Cancer. The sun, rather, is in the second decan of Cancer. We are directly at the midpoint between the full moon in Capricorn and next week's new moon in Cancer. And if you were able to tune into my full moon in Capricorn video on my other channel, So-La-Rah Rises, then you'll know that I delved into the energies of that full moon, and I kind of wrapped up that video and I said the sublimation of this full moon is that the new moon in Gemini opened the possibilities for these beautiful divine contracts to come online, and the full moon in Capricorn is here to move all the fuckery out of the way that would try to get in the way of that, of those dreams, those contracts being anchored into real time. And, you know, sometimes when I'm given these messages, they make sense to me at the time, but as time then unfurls, they begin to make even more sense as I start to see it actually, the energy actually begin to play out. So right now we're smack in the middle, excuse me, and we are therefore in Three of Cups energy. And the Three of Cups energy is the arrival of a third entity into the Two of Cups. So the Two of Cups is like the, you know, as soon as that Gemini new moon was done, we stepped into that Two of Cups energy. It may have felt airy, it may have felt hopeful. And then as we are moving through this with the sun in the second decan of Cancer, things are getting a little bit heavier. Things are getting a little bit more real. And that is because the third factor that is the Three of Cups, it is the divine in the evolved energy. But the Three of Cups is also the intrusion of external energies into that Two of Cup covenant agreement. And so right now we are dealing with a lot of that coming up on all planes. So it's happening spiritually, it's happening mentally, emotionally, and it's happening in our physical realities. But it all is connected. It all goes back to the programming of the Matrix and the programming of mothers to harm their children that therefore began to create these karmic cycles whereby we began to hurt ourselves and one another. And we began to make decisions in quote unquote love or lust or, you know, selfishness that ultimately came between the sacredness of what certain divine exchanges are supposed to be, whether romantic, platonic, you know, business, it doesn't matter. When we have a sacred agreement, it is to be honored by the two parties in it, but it's also to be respected and honored by those outside of it. And you're aware we live in an age where people don't have boundaries when it comes to overstepping their energetic rights, when it comes to being involved in other people's business in general. You know, infidelity at this point, and when I say infidelity, I'm speaking about not only marriage, I'm talking about when two people are together and have chosen to be monogamous, that in and of itself is a bond. And there's no respect for that. There's no respect oftentimes for people who are in those bonds, and there's no respect for people outside. Some oftentimes people will kind of see that as a challenge, like, oh, okay, can I get your man? Can I get your woman? Kind of thing. And so all of that is actually coming up right now in that Three of Cups energy. Like I said at the end of that reading, that full moon in Capricorn energy was all about now weeding out all of the things that would try to come and take us out of these new divine contracts. And those are energies, like I said, that are operating on all planes. So right now it's really important that you be very vigilant, especially if you have come into union or you are coming into union, of all the ways these sneaky ass energies want to come in and bring division and separation. Because right now is the time, through the Three of Cups, where we have to be aware, because not for nothing, the final decan of Cancer is the Four of Cups. Okay, and not to rain on anyone's parade, but the Four of Cups is missed opportunities, for one thing. The Four of Cups is the pushing away of a cup because of hurt. So right now, while we are in the midst of this Three of Cups energy, we really need to be vigilant of what we're allowing into our intimate union energies. And when I say your intimate union energies, I'm talking about the beautiful union that's happening for so many of us within. The uniting of our masculine and feminine energies within, the marriage of our Christed minds that we were afforded through that Gemini energy and through the new contracts, with our Christed hearts that are coming forth in Leo season. Cancer energy is the bridge to all of that. I've spoken about that before. Cancer energy is the bridge into the truth of the heart resonance, that for the inner marriage to actually occur, so you can come into the wholeness and the fullness of who you are divinely, the full reclamation and recovery of your soul and your light and all of your fragments lost to woundedness and matrix fuckery, because that's what the Sun energy is, a 19 card, which is Leo. And then the Virgo energy, which is the Hermit, is liberation. It's our ability to walk in the fullness of self and then move into the Libra energy, which then opens us up to sharing that with another or others. So right now, in this Three of Cups energy, be very vigilant, because there are energies that at every turn, in very, very subtle and sneaky ways, are trying to get into unions. Get into union, like I said, the union within. Get into unions that are already established and existing in real time and physical, and get in between the energies of unions that are coming together energetically, meaning that for those of you who are feeling, you're feeling like you're coming into union, you're sensing it, that these energies want to come in and play and make you either think that you're not. They want you to alter your own energetic resonance into lower states, so you can strict yourself and therefore push it out of your fields. So it's operating, again, like I said, these energies, when they play out, they will play out on all planes. It's just how can we get, how can we get this person, these people, these beings out of oneness. That ultimately is the goal, to get us out of oneness with self and get us out of oneness with one another. And right now, because of the nature of where we are in the ascension timeline, a lot of these energies that are coming up that want to bring separation are the energies that brought separation between you and yourself, or your divine partner, from the beginning. So what do I mean by that? I mean, once upon a time, we lived on this earth plane as, in harmony with self and one another, before this false matrix system was created in order to perpetually wound us, exploit us, and keep us fragmented, and therefore harming self and harming one another. Once upon a time, we lived in this law of oneness, right? Where we kept universal order and universal law. Like the Bible says, it's written on our hearts. If you're a divine being, those laws are written on your heart, And what is that heart energy again? It's the Leo energy. So the introduction of, all of the ways that they energetically fucked around to create a false matrix, a false mother system that then bloomed and blossomed into, what it is that we are experiencing now, that was brought in by interference. Somehow these energies managed to insert themselves into our harmony and cause complete discord and dysfunction and despair and dismay. And they have continued since then. And some would argue that that occurred at Atlantis. And right now, the deepest of those Atlantis wounds, those energies that cause us to betray self and one another to begin with, they're coming up. They're coming up for us to deal with in a myriad of ways. So they're coming up in our realities with ourselves, but they're also coming up in our realities with those who we share those timelines with also. Because we must either, recognize that that energy is a karmic one and we must put it aside if it cannot be transmuted, or we must do the work of recognizing where we have caused hurt to one another in our own foolishness, ignorance, selfishness, and contributed to the birth of this false mother system. So all of that is coming up for us now in really big ways. And if you're not aware of it, it might have you feeling very emotional. It might have you feeling, like even depressed, angry, so many energies, which I'm going to get into in the end, because Spirit, to close this out, has had me make a list of how these energies manifest themselves in their evolved state and in their shadow. And I mean the energies of Cancer. Okay, but I want to get into these notes, so bear with me because this is probably going to be a long video. So yes, I mean I kind of owe you guys a long video because it's been a while since I've done this kind of content. Like last week I came and I just gave you the energy quickly, and so this one we're going to ease into. We're gonna flow with all of this information. So please prepare your hearts. So Cancer energy is how we find our way back home to the sun. That Cancerian energy is how we find our way back home to the sun. And what is the sun? The sun is the wholeness of your soul. The sun is the fullness of the reclamation of your light. The sun is when you're able to recover all of your fragments across time, space, realities, dimensions, and planes that you've lost due to the perpetual sacrificial rituals, of the Matrix. So I'm going to get into that a little bit more. So the sun is how we remember who the fuck we really are. That's the sun. That is the significance of the 8-8 portal. It is the recovery. We have every year, we have this opportunity to recover the fullness of who we truly are and to walk through that portal and to be restored into wholeness. Every year we have that opportunity, and every year, this is why August feels so great, right? Because they allow us, the systems want us in a state of relaxation in that time so that we can, recover what it is that we're able to recover, but to do it in ignorance. You see, there's a very big difference when you are celebrating or you're just living in this on this earth plane with their traditions and you're living in ignorance. And you're not aware that you are an energetic being with these privileges and with these birthrights. They like you living in ignorance. Everything in this system is designed to keep you in states of ignorance and amnesia, right? Because for as long as you're ignorant and you're asleep, then all of the things that you can accumulate, even in your lack of awareness, can then be taken from you like candy from a baby, right? So if you're walking through the 8-8 portal and you're a being of light and you don't realize that every year you get a certain amount of replenishment, whether you actively choose to involve yourself or not, then it's easy once Virgo season comes around for them to implement that energy of Virgo to put you back into order so that they can then harvest from you at the solstice in December. But that I'm not gonna get into the harvesting so much before, or their harvesting schedule. But know that you've become very dangerous when you've woken up and you start to harness the true power of your own light and call it back to you, and you walk through that 8-8 portal knowing who the fuck you are, and therefore able to reclaim every last thing that's been robbed from you over lifetimes. Because remember, we are at the turn of an age, which is why everything has just been growing in intensity, because it's time for those of us who want to have the fullness of who we are back in our own authority. It's available to us. It's available to us in a way that it wasn't, like maybe a year ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, because as we move into this new age of Aquarius, the planets are supporting this shift into a brand new golden age, and everyone who is eligible can come along. But the eligibility requires the healing, the recollection and remembrance of who you are, and then doing the work to recover and recuperate the fullness of self. And if you're not aware that this is what is happening right now, then a lot of the time people are really struggling right now. Everyone's struggling right now. I said this in my last video. All of us are struggling. We're all supposed to be struggling right now emotionally. But for some of us, we're struggling emotionally because we're alchemizing the energies that have to be shifted in order for us to come into a deeper levels of wholeness, while others are suffering because of their ignorance. You know, it's in I forget what book it is in the Bible where it says, I want to say Hosea, where he says, where God says to Hosea, my people perish for lack of knowledge. My people perish for lack of knowledge. That means literally waste away, to lose your essence, to lose your light, to lose your inheritance, to lose everything that, connects you to source. So Cancer energy is how we find our way back home to the sun and remember who the fuck we are, and then reclaim that. Okay, reclaim our solar codes. When we come back into the fullness of who we are on every plane, when we have recovered the energy of all of our bodies, we have several bodies. Different people break it down in different ways. I break it down elementally, so I think about it in terms of, or even the tarot, I think about it as, your spiritual and etheric reality, which is really vast. Then you have the mental planes and your mental energy, which is your thoughts, other people's thoughts, the ways that certain things are communicated, because as creator beings, we speak things into existence. Your emotional resonance, or your emotional body, which then takes the mental energy and expands it and multiplies it and grows it and adds momentum to it in order to crystallize and solidify it into material reality, into what happens in terms of things playing out in the physical. So, where was I with this? I do not remember why I was going through this. So anyway, Cancer energy. I've been saying to you guys, since we entered this season, that Cancer energy, it is womb energy. It's the introduction of the womb energy in the zodiac, right? And the womb is the matrix. The matrix itself is not a bad concept. It is the origin of something, right? But it is what we do with the energy. And so the matrix that was used to design this old world system that is falling apart on itself right now, it was based upon principles that went against divine order, that went against specifically that went against the divine mother, because matrix energy is mother energy. It comes from the Latin word mater, which is mother. Okay, so this is why there's such an attack on the energy of Cancer, especially when the nodes, I've spoken about this before too, and I'll get into it a little bit more today, especially when the nodes are in Cancer and Capricorn, that axis. I want you guys to even think about how the world is mapped up. And we have two tropics, excuse me. We have, the equator, And then we have the Tropic of Cancer north of the equator, and we have the Tropic of Capricorn south of the equator. And I want you to also think about the energies of solstice and equinoxes and what that means also. I won't get into all of that right now because it will be too much, but know that all of this, it works together to create this, it's not a melting pot, it's like an amalgamation of energies designed to ultimately destroy us, to put it nicely, to put it succinctly, more than that. So Cancer energy is about the waters of the womb. It's about the amniotic fluid. And the amniotic fluid in utero is what ultimately programs your cell division. It's what gives your cells the information that they need in order to divide and create you or expand you into physical reality. It's all by way of the waters. And the way Spirit was showing me this is even like, if you want to think into how we're harvested and how much dream time is oftentimes hijacked or intercepted or interfered with. I think I've mentioned this show on my channel before, The Alchemy of Souls, but there's another show where I saw that happen too. I think it's called The OA. They're both shows on Netflix, and it's very interesting when these characters are going through like either soul swapping, the energy of soul swapping, or the energy of having had an NDE, a near-death experience, and therefore leaving their body and going into this reality where they're able to see what's going on in their souls. Or you always see them, even in their adult state, in waters, almost like they're in this watery womb. And that's because our souls are programmed everything is programmed by the waters, metaphysically and physically. And the waters are that Cancer energy. So the Cancer energy is what divides and connects worlds. It's why it's the first water sign of the zodiac. Okay? So the Cancer energy is here. The Gemini energy before Cancer, it is the divine word. It is the divine instructions. It is the divine mind that is articulated and shared with us. But then the Cancerian energy, like I said, it goes through the mental. The mental energy is taken and it's expanded emotionally. And it's there it gains momentum in order to be crystallized into material reality. That's what the Cancer energy does. It takes the divine word, or any word really, but divinely what it's designed to do is to take the divine word and to multiply it and to bring the truth of who you are into existence. So come Leo season, you've connected with your heart and you're able therefore to walk in the fullness of who you are. Cancer is the tunnel into the light. Even in the tarot, the major arcana is not organized in terms of like how the zodiac wheel looks. It's organized in terms of how energy cycles. And so in the tarot, the moon card is the number 18. And the moon card, of course, the moon is what rules Cancer. The moon card comes between the star and the sun. It comes between those the big bodies of light in the major arcana, right? So the star is about when everything begins to come into divine alignment, right? But you're still not at the sun when you get to the star. Everything is coming into divine alignment now to help you get to the sun, but you're not going to get to the sun without going through what? The moon. And what is the moon? The moon is the darkness of the shadow. The moon are the things that are hidden. The moon are the waters and the programming that either you must take on or you must fight against. Because this is what we're doing right now. We are taking on new programming in accordance with the new creations we are birthing ourselves into. and we are receiving the divine instructions about who we are, our greatness. But we are also rejecting all the ways we were previously programmed in the waters of the womb by the false mother energies of the matrix. I hope I'm making sense, because these are very, it's a little abstract, but it's also very multi-layered and complex. So I'm doing my best to try to articulate it in ways that that make sense. So this Cancerian energy, this energy of the moon, is allowing for new clarity of mind to pave a way for our hearts. So it's allowing us to take the Christ-mindedness that we won through Gemini season if we valiantly fought against those mental attacks, psychic attacks, and mental energies that were designed to once again take us away from ourselves and out of divine alignment. If we emerge from Gemini season triumphant, having overcome all of those entities that wanted to lie about us and other people, then Cancer season is here to take that Christ-mindedness and to expand it until it reconnects us to the fullness of our light. So our stargate opens in Leo season and we can fully and properly connect with the 8-8 portal. So a lot of regret and fear is coming up in these energies right now. A lot of regret and fear, and you might feel it, like you might sense it, or you might feel it, because that's a Cancer energy, and not really recognize why you feel so emotional. But it's because there's a lot of regrets, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of guilt. Remember, these energies this season are dredging up the old Atlantean timelines that allowed for this false matrix system to be birthed to begin with. So as such, you may not know consciously why you're feeling sad. You might not know consciously why you all of a sudden are feeling this anxiety or this fear or even this rage. You might not know why all of a sudden your emotions are rising up like a torrent, but they are. And that is because these root energies that contributed to the decimation of humanity through the origin of this false mother system are coming up to be let go out of our resonances, out of our emotional fields, in order that we can hold more light. And this is what all of the planetary the stuff going on, the solar flares, the nodes shifting, everything planetarily is assisting that right now. So a lot of regret, fear, guilt, all of those things are coming up for all of us as a collective right now. But for those of you who are doing the work, you're going to be feeling it in a very different way. And I want to, intercept right now and tell you not to fall into the trap of believing that you're being taken down. You're not. And even if there are energies that are purposely and consciously and conscientiously trying to attack you, to take you down, because that's real. The death energy, the death magic since last week's full moon is real. I've sensed it, I've felt it, I've seen it. It's real. But I want to remind you again that every time they throw their death energy, what they're doing is killing their own false system within you for as long as you let those old energies die. If you let the die-off process occur and you don't fight it, then their death energies can't harm you. They can only rebirth you. So Cancer season connects you to your gold print. It's the bridge between your throat and your solar plexus, right? So as I have been explained by my guides, your blueprint is connected to the divine orders or instructions you receive about who you are. It's the Gemini energy that connects you to spirit, that connects you to source, that connects you to your I am truth. You came into this lifetime with a very distinct mission and purpose and an energetic signature and frequency that matches that which is your Taurus field, your second house, your value. And then the Gemini is how you take that value, how it's communicated to you by source and by the guides that are on your team to help you get back to the sun. So the Cancer energy here is now to connect that information, your divine instructions that come through the Gemini energy. The Cancer energy is here, like I said before, to take that, help you expand it, and add the momentum to it that now you birth your light into the earth plane. So this again is once more you becoming who you are on the earth as it's already written in the cosmos. And Cancer season, the waters through which all of that is birthed. The waters through which your divine contracts, your divine instructions are birthed. That's why Gemini energy is the lovers, okay? So the Capricorn and the Cancer axis, so like I said, you know, when the nodes are all about your reason for being here contractually. So the Capricorn and Cancer axis energies, or the sister energies, work together to help you find out your reason for being here contractually. So Capricorn is about the actual fulfillment of those contracts on earth. And the Cancer energy is why you're here. So the Cancer energy tells you why you're here in order that you can connect to your earthly contracts that the Capricorn energy then helps you to live out. It's kind of a very big deal. Okay? So those who have not grabbed a hold of who they are and why they're here right now are in their fields. Big time. Big time. Because this energy comes up every year to trigger us back into alignment. But for most people who don't know how to heal themselves, they take that and they project it instead. So every year, the Cancer energy is here to show us how we were programmed out of our greatness, specifically by way of this maternal energy. The maternal energy of the matrix, which is the false mother system, and the maternal energy of our own biological mothers who signed themselves up to the energies and the traditions of the matrix, and therefore automatically from the time we were, you know, gestating, and definitely by the time we were born, they were already programmed themselves to program themselves out of divine alignment. So they definitely then began to pass that on to us too. So Cancer energy helps us to come into divine alignment. And I'm going to remind you guys one more time that this energy began to come into like pick up real momentum in 2020 when the nodes were in Capricorn and Cancer. The North Node was in Cancer and the South Node was in Capricorn, and then they switched in the autumn or the fall of that year. But that year, the 2020 kicked off with a full moon eclipse in Cancer and closed out with a full moon in Cancer. Then we had 2 new moons in Cancer mid-year, and one of them was an eclipse. We're going to get into some of that energy and what that meant for us too, and the purpose of it, because this Cancer Capricorn energy is how they reset us into lower timelines. Okay? But I want you to also note that this is another year where we open the year. The first full moon of 2023 was in Cancer, and the last full moon of 2023 is once again in Cancer. So again, we have this Cancerian energy, the energy of the Divine Mother being resurrected in us, through us, by us, for us, bookending the year, which is, again, 2023 breaks down to a number 7, which is the year of the Chariot. The Chariot is Cancerian energy. So Cancer connects us to our heart's truth and our psychic awareness by way of our emotional resonance and what that has created. So, in other words, everything that you create or even manifest comes through the waters, comes through your emotions. And the Cancer energy is what connects your heart to this. Okay? And more importantly than that, it is your emotional resonance that creates your reality. So in other words, if you have a thought about something, but you don't attach the feeling to it, that thought cannot be birthed. It is the marriage of thought with feeling that produces your reality. It is the marriage of your masculine mental energy with your feminine energy, emotions, that produces your material reality. So right now, we're all being charged, or we're all being given the opportunity to take a look at what we've created based upon our own emotional resonance. And not only this lifetime, but we're looking right now, this is a review of the age. So the more you're living out of alignment with divine order, the more you have betrayed and repressed your true self, or you've even traded your true self for a false matrix identity, a false mother identity. Think about that, okay? The false mother identity is who someone else has told you that they need you to be. And it begins with your mother, who if she is not in alignment with what your divine instructions are for your incarnation, then she is molding and shaping you based upon what? Tradition. And what is tradition? Tradition is a bunch of behaviors that have been handed down over time. And the truth of the matter is, most of our traditions are flawed because they are rooted in further perpetuating 1313 on my clock, further perpetuating the discord and the dysfunction that takes us out of oneness and keeps the false mother system alive. So I tell people all the time, even if you had, what's her name? Brady, I forget her name, her first name, as a mother, it doesn't matter. You will still not have been, unless your mother was so in tune with who she was divinely and had healed herself. And the truth is that the collective consciousness up until recently has not supported that for mothers. So in most cases, it wasn't even possible. So again, that takes away the heaviness of feeling so much at fault for the mistakes that we make as mothers when we just don't know any better. We're ignorant because that information isn't yet available to us energetically, right? But when we know better, then we do better. So most of our mothers had no idea. They were just doing what it is that they were taught makes them good mothers. But here's the thing, even if by matrix standards you're an amazing mother, if you have not fulfilled your divine contract as a mother, then divinely you have not done your job. And as such, your child is not going to be in divine alignment with their destiny and their path either. So therefore, you've taken them off that path also, or they took you off that path also. Our mothers are who teach us. Our parents, both our parents, teach us. It's the mother energy that grows it, but it's both parents that influence, get into our waters, into our emotions. But they teach us from a very early age to betray and repress our true selves, because that's what you have to do in order to make it in the false mother system, the matrix. Cancer energy shows us this through how we're feeling. So Cancer energy shows us all the ways we are out of alignment, all the ways we are in states of either self-betrayal or other energies are entering in, carrying that betrayal energy. The Cancer energy magnifies this, and it shows us this through how we're feeling. Okay, so it can bring up, and it can also bring up the repressed anger and rage that hasn't been expressed, because in previous times where we felt that way, we were not able to express it. So once again, we repressed it, we pushed it down. And energy doesn't leave it. It's either transformed, transmuted, recycled, but it doesn't just go. And that has to be an active effort to do that. So a lot of the time, especially due to the fact that we've lived in a system where we constantly are trying to lord ourselves over children and over their consciousness, as if they're not here to be our masters also, to come in and be our divine guides. Some of your children, some of our children are more ancient than we are. And that's just a fact. They have more esoteric and spiritual knowledge and wisdom than we do. And we come, and because of how we've been trained mentally and emotionally and egoically through the matrix system, we come and tell them they know nothing. You know, and we push our so-called wisdom upon them, and we call it discipline, or we call it parenting. And that's a whole other conversation, okay? So the Cancer energy shows up to show us how out of divine alignment we are by way of how we're feeling. But because we're taught from a very early age to discount how we feel and to play mental tricks with ourselves, so that we downplay our emotions and our own intuition and instinct, the Cancer energy also deals with the repression of emotions, the repression of self, the repression of intuition, and what that births in us energetically. And oftentimes that can be anger, it can be rage, it can be depression. All of those things that then later cater to us getting stuck in karmic cycles or becoming codependent. So these demonic and lower astral entities, the attacks that are happening right now, are against the mother energy. So it's against the mother in her original form, the divine mother, right? And it's against women in general. But most importantly, it's really against the mother in all of us. The mother in all of us, who is here to help us connect with our emotions and not repress what we feel or what's coming up, or our own intuition, and to honor that and to therefore heal our inner children. So the mother in all of us is here to care, heal, and tend to our inner child. And this energy, what it wants to do is put us back into states where we are once again denying how we feel, repressing how we feel, betraying self, falling into codependent patterns. So the false matrix system, or the false mother system, waged war against both the divine masculine and feminine principles, but its grandest war has been against the rise and the return of the divine mother. Okay? Because it's the mother who programs our emotional resonance. And it's, again, I'm going to keep on repeating it because it needs to be so clear and real to us. It is our emotional resonance that births our physical reality. It is and the physical reality is, it can be considered to be masculine energy too. They need one another, but it's the mother is the waterway, right? Or the mother energy provides the waterway. So because it's the mother who programs our emotional resonance and the emotional resonance of the collective consciousness, it is the mother energy that is what gives us access to our heart's truth, to our Leo energy, to our gold print, our ability to live out our divine contracts. So both our earthly mothers are responsible for this, and the mothers that rise in us, our own internal mother energy, that is very much connected to the divine mother. The mother within, when we talk about being connected to source, you are also connected to these energies that facilitate this relationship with the source of all. And so your ability to heal and care for yourself is connecting you to source by way of the divine mother energy that resides in you. So all of these things that have occurred, like the war on ISIS, for example, which again, that was another event that occurred when the nodes were in Cancer and Capricorn. Isis is another, well, she's the Egyptian goddess, right? But she is a divine mother energy. So Cancer as a disease, right? You have been consciously programmed. The collective conscious has been programmed to subconsciously associate death, disease, destruction, dysfunction, and despair with the Great Mother. And therefore, because we live in an inversion, the matrix is inverted truth, we were brainwashed into thinking that this false matrix system was how we move forward in life. It was life-giving, when really it was leading us all the time to death and to the recycling of energy and energy harvesting and all these other things. So some of their biggest spells, as this ascension has become more of a reality, some of their biggest spells have been against her and her resurrection. Okay, and that's also because her resurrection meant the birthing of the divine masculine or the divine father energy that is needed for them to come together in wholeness to recreate harmony back on the earth plane. So the energy of the moon is very much connected to all of this. The Cancerian energy, the moon has been utilized as, because the moon, what does the moon do? What does the moon control? The moon controls the waters of the earth, but the moon also controls your waters, right? And your waters, what do your waters hold? Your waters hold the instructions for what it is you're going to create, for better or for worse. Your waters hold all of the subconscious information that is within your DNA that you bring with you by way of the genetics that connect you to the bloodline, the physical bloodline you come through. But the waters of your soul, because they're also metaphysical, is where all of the information of who you are in every lifetime and form resides within you. Because water doesn't die, it just recycles. So if these are the waters of your soul, you never died. You may have recycled and come back into a different incarnation or form or reality, but your essence has never died. And so the waters of your soul hold the fullness of the recollection of all of that. Of all of that. It's why the moon even can dredge up, like, you know, when the moon is full, which is when it pulls the waters into the earth, is when it pulls all that information out of us. And this is why at the full moon, you often hear about, insanity. That's what they say. They link it being a lunatic, right? Because people aren't aware that what is coming up is all of this stuff that they have no idea that they are even able to be. In other words, because we've lived in a false matrix system whose whole purpose was to program us out of our truth and out of our greatness and out of true access to our divine information, these things will come into people's emotional reality and resonance, and they'll start feeling things and not be able to connect or know why, because they have lost the connection to self. They have lost the connection to the Divine Mother and the Divine Father. They have lost the connection to Source that would allow them to interpret this information. So all they're doing is feeling all of this stuff that's so intense, and it can drive them crazy, you know? So the whole purpose of how this moon has been designed to function in this false mother system, the moon was put there to harvest humanity, or it was repurposed to harvest from humanity, right? By way of manipulating our emotions. And in doing so, it was able to bind and this is esoteric here, was able to bind the Divine Mother and all of her representatives into servitude and enslavement. So, Gaia, the female deities, specifically those with lunar affiliations, were split. They were fragmented. Everything that is done on earth is already done in the heavens, is already done in the cosmos. So they split and fragmented these lunar deities in order to further use them, their pieces, to harvest the collective. So, for example, Isis, who is an emblem of the Divine Mother through the Egyptian tradition, right? You might see some so-called celebrities worship her, but they're not worshiping Isis in her true form. And you see this a lot with deity worship. You see this even with Jesus. That's not Jesus that people are worshiping in church. That is an energetic construct that's been created, and the energy has been channeled through worship to create an entity. That's not Yeshua. That's not the true Christ that is here to act, to help you by the way he lived in his example to reconnect with your own Christ energy within. So when you are able to fragment an energy, you are able to take whatever part of that energy you want to exploit for personal gain. And that's what they did. They took a certain aspect of Yeshua's life and they created a fragment that they called Jesus. And they said, he died for your sins. And they gave you this narrative that was supposed to trap you then in a state of worshiping him. And when you're not doing that, feeling guilty and ashamed, so that you can therefore easily be harvested. Every time you go to church, you're harvested. Especially if you're going to these churches that are more charismatic and you're raising energy through worship, through song, through dance. You go to church on Sunday, you feel amazing, and on Monday you wake up and you're tired and drained, or Tuesday or Wednesday. It's harvesting. So everything, in order to create this matrix, this false mother system, everything that had been in a state of wholeness and harmony that allowed for, pre-Atlantis allowed for us to live in a state of oneness, everything had to be separated through trauma. And then that trauma had to be further perpetuated and exploited to keep the separation and the fragmentation going until we got to this state where we didn't know who we were at all. At all. So in other words, from the time of the fall of Atlantis up until here, we've been going backwards in time, if you want to think about it that way, because we've been progressively forgetting and losing parts of ourselves more and more and more, which is why this ascension is such a grand undertaking. Because we literally are having to recover every part and piece of ourselves that we lost through the harvesting cycles of every incarnation we've been here since Atlantis. So, the Karmic Mother. Let's talk about the Karmic Mother, because you will hear about her a lot in tarot, right? But we hear about her as a person. And yeah, that energy will play out through a person, just like the Divine Mother energy will play out through a person. But the Karmic Mother, the root energy, it is the matrix. The matrix is the karmic mother. The matrix created this karmic mother template that then mothered all mothers that went through the matrix. And in order to break out of the karmic mother template of the matrix, then you must awaken and heal. And then do things differently and connect again you wake up and heal, and you connect with the Divine Mother, who then helps you to mother yourself back into alignment. Isis, Osiris, helps you to bring your pieces back together, so you can then do the same for your children, if you have biological children, or for the collective, whether you do it in a hands-on way or you do it energetically simply by doing it for yourself. It's all the same. So the karmic mother is the matrix. She is what has been used ultimately to keep the system alive. Because she, not only does she have the power to program both our minds and our hearts in the deepest of ways, she had the ability to grow that because it's womb energy. It's the matrix is the womb of the karmic mother. This is what we're doing this Cancer season. We are exiting out of the womb of the karmic mother with the help of the divine mother. Because she's reprogramming these waters. She's reprogramming the waters of the karmic mother womb. And this is why we are healing, and those who want to stay stuck in the karma, they are reacting. They're not feeling very good right now because their waters, whether they like it or not, they're being reprogrammed. I hope I'm making sense here. We're all living in the same energy, but how are we using it? The divine mother energy is back. She's here. And for some of us, that makes us really happy, and we're like, yes, we can come back into divine alignment. But for those who want to stay in the karmic, narcissistic templates and paradigms of the matrix, of the false mother system, then this energy, if they fight against it, it's going to be their death. Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, some physically. So this is why the biggest wound incurred upon us by the matrix system is the mother wound. It is the biggest one. And it's not the biggest one because the father doesn't wound us or isn't as important. The father wound is made possible because of the mother wound, because all energy is birthed through the mother. It's not even a gender or a role thing. It's just energy. 1333 on my clock. It's just energy, like masculine and feminine energy. The masculine provides the seed, but the feminine energy provides the soil. If the soil is not good, the seed will die. If the soil is good, or let's not say the soil is good, let's take the duality out of it. There's a seed that's provided. If the soil, the energy of the soil, matches the energy of the seed, or matches the frequency of the seed and what the seed needs to accomplish, the soil grows that masterfully. So in other words, if the seed that the masculine is providing is one of discord and dysfunction, and it falls upon grounds that can breed that with ease, that is what will be birthed. That would be the false mother system. Now, if you take that same dysfunctional seed and you try to drop it upon the soil of the divine mother, that seed will perish. She'll spit it out. She won't hold that resonance. This is what I'm talking about when I say, right now, that the divine mother is back. And she's tuning us back into divine alignment, especially through these Cancer energies. She cannot be silenced. Nothing can happen right now but her further rise. So it's either we're going to rise with her by coming back into divine alignment and truth and mothering ourselves back into wholeness, or we're going to try to drop our dysfunctional seeds into her soil, and she's going to say, go fuck yourselves. Your time of doing that is up. There's a new sheriff in town. And this is exactly why so many of us who came to liberate Gaia and her inhabitants, the natural world, out of these matrix enslavement templates, that's why so many of us incarnated into really harsh maternal realities. Because ultimately we came here to set these women free. We came here to help them see and identify their own wounds, so we came to be a divine mirror. First and foremost, that was our first assignment. Your first assignment was to come in. You chose the mother that you were going to come through. It's part of your assignment as a divine being and as part of your ascension contract. You chose to come through in order to heal this matrilineal trauma, in order to make healing the matrix possible. Now, because we have free will, that doesn't mean when we came into our realities with our mothers that they welcomed our light. Your light is what highlighted to them their wounds. And either they were grateful for it and did the healing and were like, oh my gosh, I see this in myself. I wouldn't have seen this in myself had I not become a mother, etc., etc. I need to do the work here. And then they were able to be a better mother to you because of that. But that wasn't the case for most of us. Most of us, we came to be a light and we were shunned, scapegoated, abused, however it played out for you, because what we came, we shone a light into their shadows in order that their shadows would be seen and they'd be able to heal. But because they just didn't want to see their shadow, they didn't want to see that part of themselves, they didn't want to own that part of self again. They wanted to stay fragmented. They took that shadow and they placed it on you. So we've been walking around holding not only our own shadows, but we've been holding the shadow energies of so many beings. And that's another thing you need to you need to let go of that. Let go of that. State it if you must. Relinquish yourself of the responsibility of energetically holding on to anyone's shadow anymore. That time is done. It's done. So this is why so many of us came through these very heavy matrilineal realities, was to help them to heal, because in doing that, when you heal your mother, you heal the line. Or when you heal yourself, you heal that matrilineal line, especially as women. But it doesn't have to be. You know, I say as women because we are the womb carriers in physical time. So we are the ones who are growing the energies of the generation, for better or for worse. So whenever we choose to heal as women, we are healing the generations. Whenever you men choose to heal your divine feminine energy, you're doing the same. It's just a different way of doing it. So the reason why your mother was so wounded was because she'd come through generations of matrilineal trauma where she was holding all of these other women's shadows too. You know, in science, they call it like being able to carry 3 generations of trauma. We can scientifically, they can show that now. Like, I don't know how they do it. It's microscope. I don't know what the variables are and how they're able to prove that, but it's been proven scientifically. And like I always tell you guys, I believe it's not even 3 generations. Science has shown it to be 3 generations, but that doesn't mean that's where it ends. That's what they've proven so far. Now, I want to take it to a different metaphysical level, and I want to tell you that you are holding and harboring the trauma that you're holding and harboring, that they're picking up on. You've been possessing another person's shadow. You've been holding their pain. You've been holding their repressed, unprocessed shadow. You've been holding whole parts of beings that you must now give back. In love, in forgiveness, in peace, but with the clear understanding and overstanding that you are here to recover. We're all here on individual journeys. We're here to walk together, but our individual purpose and mission is to recollect every part of self. And there's no room for every part of self if we're still harboring other people's shadows. It's time to give them back their shadows. And this is partly what this 3 of Cups energy, the sun in the 2nd decan of Cancer, that 3rd energy. Remember I said that, there is the God or the divine energy that comes in to bless the 2 of Cups, but there's also that 3rd party energy that will come in to mess around with the foundation and the emotional resonance of what this union energy is going to become. That's the interference of karmic energies. The karmic energies are always going to be connected to the karmic mother. Not the person, the karmic mother, the matrix. The origin of the energy is the mother. It's always the mother. You know, for those of you who I used to make kombucha, right? And the SCOBY, the symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast, that funny looking spongy thing that creates kombucha, is called the mother. When you buy apple cider vinegar, and you have the sediment at the bottom that makes it alive. The vinegar alive makes it raw. It's called the mother. The origin of an energy will always be the mother. Not the person, the origin of the energy is the mother. This Cancer season, we are going back to clearing out the origin of energies that have created our realities, no matter where we are on the journey. And we're going back, we're creating new original templates through the contracts that are coming through. In other words, if you have a contract that's just open for you through the new moon in Gemini, where you're coming into union, or you are in union, or you have entered into a new divine contract with the person you're already in union with, and therefore you're reaching higher states of divine union now through these new divine contracts, then what this Cancer energy is providing is an opportunity to create the motherboard for what is going to come moving forward for you. You're creating the foundation for what it is you want your union now to look like in the new earth. This is what came through the new moon in Gemini. This is why we're scrapping so much of the old right now. We've been doing it for a while, but right now we're really in this process of shedding. Because we must shed in order to create a brand new foundation. And not for nothing, we're also moving into the Aries node, right? Aries is moving into the North Node in a week. And what energy is Aries going to be entering into in that position of North Node? Well, could it be the Four of Wands? That is the third decan of Aries, is the Four of Wands. This is where we're beginning with the nodes. Okay, so all of this energy right now is about creating a new mothership, a new mother system. On the smallest of levels, so within ourselves, to our relationships in intimate partnerships, to our relationships with our children, we must do things a new way. We must find a new mother energy, because the new earth requires that we create a brand new matrix. This is why the intensity of emotions. If you've been feeling a lot of things come up in you, ask your guides to show you, is this mine or is this my mother's? Am I still processing her shadow energies because she refuses to do it for herself, or she doesn't know how to? And so because I've always been the scapegoat energy, I'm holding things again that I shouldn't be holding. I know that happened to me. I was processing things. I didn't know why I was feeling the way I was feeling. I was just like, this doesn't even make sense. How do I go from being on top of here because things are beautiful, and all of a sudden this energy enters and it makes me want to crawl up into the fetal position on the floor and cry. This isn't my reality. I've done this already. Because I was still holding on to remnants of the shadow energies that had been placed upon me in ignorance. In her just being a mother, in a system that tells her this is how you mother, It's time for us to release the shadows of our mothers. We need to give them back their shadow energies in love, because they... 13:44 on my clock. And this is where it gets really difficult. We are here at this part of the journey to collect back the fullness of ourselves. It is imperative to move into the new earth and the new energies with the wholeness of who we are divinely. There is no access or entry any other way. This is why this ascension is so beautiful. So for as long as we're still holding on to shadows that don't belong to us, as long as we're not redirecting those shadows back to their homes and rightful owners, then we are taking up space within our own energy field that's blocking the fullness of our light of self coming back on board. And remember, entry and access into the new earth, including the materialization of your divine contracts, is by way of coming back into the fullness and the wholeness of self. It's by way of coming through the Leo energy and getting to Virgo. The Virgo energy is the liberation. It's why it's the hermit. It's what we must go through alone. You must go through the valley of the shadow of death alone, and you must have your light in order to get to the wheel of fortune and see your way out of karmic cycles. So I'm probably going to come back and do more of this because I have like 6 pages extra of notes, and I think I've only gotten through 4 so far. So let me wrap up what it is I've been talking to you guys about. I want to take you guys back one last time to 2020, because many of us are wrapping up grand 3-year cycles, because 2020, our timelines were once again hijacked and interfered with. A lot of us were supposed to be coming into union in 2020, and this is why a lot of the divine contracts that you were supposed to enter into in 2020 died this Gemini season if they weren't fulfilled, and new divine contracts occurred. So 2020 was such a big year of interception and waking up to our ancestral and collective trauma, right? And again, it was because of what was happening globally, you know, which I'm not going to get into here, you know, like the breaking down of how that all fits, because it's not the place for that. But I will say that, you know, again, I'll take it back to the fact that the nodes were closing out their time in Cancer and Capricorn, and the moons were telling us it's time for you to deal with your ancestral matrilineal stuff that has kept you stuck in cycles that keep you away from source and keep you out of true divine union with self and one another. It's time to deal with it on a collective way. Okay, so right now, this is a grand wrapping up of that 3-year cycle. A grand wrapping up of it. So you might see repeating timelines from that year. You might see the timelines that were lost to you reopening to you now. The ones that were hijacked, they might be reopening to you, but they might be reopening to you with a different person, or with a different business, or with a different friendship. But the energies that were available to bless and flourish that are yours again. That's the point. So every time the nodes are in Cancer and Capricorn, just like the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn and the equator keep the flow of energies on our Earth. So every time the nodes, the lunar nodes, are in Cancer and Capricorn, there are grand global attacks and initiatives. They always go down, especially since the grand energetic shifts began in the 90s that showed that this ascension was happening because so many of us were incarnating into the planet. Okay, so the 90s began to show that the plans to liberate Gaia and humanity out of this false matrix were truly happening, and they were afoot. And this is partly why we had all of the hysteria around the world ending with Y2K. It was, again, another opportunity to harvest fear at a very pivotal point in the calendar, followed soon by, 9/11, and the energies that facilitated, which was ultimately to bring division to the divine union templates. I won't get into that too much. And then, on its heels, we had SARS, which was preparing us for what would occur in 2020 when the nodes once again were in Cancer and Capricorn, because SARS was like the dry run. How are we going to respond to a global pandemic? Let's give it a test run. Let's play with these energies a bit. Let's play with the energies of war, of terrorism, of sickness and death and disease. Let's make a crazy cocktail and see if we can play with it to get ready for the grand reset. All of this energy is consistently here to reset their initiatives for the matrix. And right now we're in another grand reset. And every time we're in a grand reset energy, we have the opportunity to either be reset by the matrix, by the false mother, relinquish our own power, relinquish the fullness of who we are and be reset by an external energy, the false mother or the matrix, or we have the opportunity to dig our heels in and align with the divine mother frequencies and reset ourselves into truth. And this is why this season is so big. It's big, for resetting ourselves back into alignment and in truth. So I think I'm going to end there. I will finish off by telling you guys the themes of Cancer energy so you're able to see it and weed it out. So on the one hand, the shadow energies of Cancer energy are emotional manipulation, emotional influence. We're not here to influence one another. That's a form of manipulation or commanding another person's energy through manipulating their emotions, through getting into their fluids. Influence, influenza, going viral. You get it? Other Cancer themes: repressed anger that overflows into violence and destruction and dysfunction. Other Cancer themes: wounded maternal programming and the continuation of those templates within ourselves or the way we mother. Another thing I'll add here is the holding on to our mother's wounds on their behalf, holding on to their shadows. Cancer energy is very, very, they don't like conflict. They would rather you step all over them than confront them. In other words, and they love so much that they'll put up with all manner of crap in order to feel like they belong. Like Cancer energy is the birthing of codependency. Because the truth is, we're supposed to need one another in healthy ways. That is a healthy expression of us connecting to the mother energy. When we're vulnerable, when we're weak, when we're innocent, we need things. And that doesn't change just because we become an adult. But the way that we put the responsibility on another, or we put up with certain behaviors because we can't satisfy our own needs, or we can't figure out ourselves and our own emotions, is what forms codependency. Cancer season is all about attachment styles. We're learning how to cultivate new healthy attachment styles also through this energy. We're learning how to be okay with needing people or needing one another without it moving into the dangerous territory of worship or codependency. We're learning a new attachment style. We're learning how to not attach, but to bond with another in healthy ways that allow for both parties to be seen, to be heard, to be felt, to be called out when they're moving into the direction that is no longer healthy. Cancer themes are also womb wounds and womb blocks. It's time to reprogram our wombs out of states of war and back into harmony. Gaia, the earth, is a womb. The matrix was a womb. The matrix we're creating in balance in the new earth is a womb. If we are to create this new earth womb, that is the matrix or the creatrix energy that's going to birth what's happening here on earth for generations to come, then we must be vessels whose wombs are no longer in states of war. And that's for you as women physically. It's a really important time to be doing womb work. And sorry, there's a gnat in here. And for men too, because you guys have a womb. It might not be a physical one, but you have a womb. You have a cycle. You know? So, yes, it's time to get rid of those blocks. And the womb blocks, whether they're expressing themselves because you have a physical womb or whether your womb is metaphysical and emotional and still a part of your physical resonance, but not necessarily your physical structure. The womb blocks are, again, mother wounds. Wounds from your biological mother, wounds that were perpetuated by way of the relationships you had that further fed on and perpetuated those mother wounds and the wounds of the matrix. So the lighter themes of Cancer season, opening our hearts again to love. Opening our hearts again to love, learning how to love divinely. Learning proper attachment styles. Learning to have our needs met and to be okay with that. Learning how our emotions are connected to our superpowers. Cancer is the gateway to your light body. It is your light body. Your light body is run off of your emotions. Your emotions are your superpower. This is why in the Matrix, in its inverted energy, it wanted people who were sensitive to feel like there was something wrong with them. People who looked at the state of the craziness and the fuckery of this earth, and it actually hurt their souls to the point of feeling hopeless and depressed. They want to turn it around and say, you've got a mental illness. No, you've got a heart. You've got divine eyes, divine ears. Your emotional resonance is still connected to source. You're channeling source's sentiments for the fuckery, the mockery that they call life and love here. Other Cancer themes that are light. Deep healing with our children. Deep reprogramming them out of the false mother templates and what that has produced in them. The healing and reclamation of the womb. Your womb, again, whether you are a man or a woman, it is the place where through which all of your creations and your creative and your creator abilities come through. If you are not healing and reclaiming that energy, you are still outsourcing it to someone else, something else. Receiving the gifts, care, and comfort and protection of the Divine Mother. Another theme, unions due to recalibration of emotions into our divine truth. Therefore, we're able to magnetize real divine unions because we ourselves are in divine order. Cannot attract a divine union if you are not in divine order. You will attract another karmic cycle. And that is not to say that when you come into union with a person, there isn't still karma that must be resolved, but it's not the overarching theme of the union. And finally, in the most exciting light theme of Cancer season, we get the keys to our light bodies and stargates for as long as we're able to take back the waters. This is all about taking back your waters. Your waters are not here for merchants that you have not allowed into your docks to be sailing through. Your waters belong to you. So it's time to take back full autonomy over your emotional resonance. And then when you've done that, you have shown yourself worthy of having the keys to the kingdom. So I'm going to end there because we're 1 hour, 24 minutes in. And it's my son's birthday today, and I'm about to take him out. So I love you guys. Happy birthday to those of you. I know a few of you, like I've got quite a few Cancers in my collective. I've had the great honor of doing some of your tarot astrology reports. And so I wish you all a very, very blessed solar return. Those of you who have already just had your solar returns, or those of you who have them coming up. I will be back again soon. I probably will continue to share these downloads and maybe come back with a reading. But I wish you guys the best. I wish you love, joy, peace, abundance, balance, more joy, focus, motivation, and that you be centered and grounded in self and your truth. I wish you every beautiful thing under the sun that when you are walking in divine alignment is ultimately already your birthright. So go and grab it. Until next time, be well.